intro, let me invite Mr. Nath Kundu, alternate CISO and Deputy General Manager, NTPC Limited, for his presentation. Again, playing devil's advocate's role. Please make it in 8 to 10 minutes.
Absolutely, absolutely. First of all, thank you to the organizers, APAC News Network, Department of Science and Technology, GOMP, and MPSEC, SEDC. And thanks to the August gathering. Hats off to your patience, your wonderful audience continuously listening to all of us. So, can I have the presentation, please? So, in my presentation, first of all, I should say that it's roughly 8 to 9 slides. So, in all probability, I will try to complete it within 10 minutes. And it's a very short journey, yet it has a lot of punch points into the presentation about how to deal with the job or the task at hand, be it cybersecurity or cloud security, with a twist towards larger organizations. So, how do we generally deal it in larger organizations? Am I clear? No? The basic essence is implementing the technology and amalgamating the technology with the process. These two are two different things. So, be it the OEMs or be it the service providers, they are always ready with commercial off-the-shelf solutions. But I think, this is again my personal view, that these off-the-shelf solutions actually should be tweaked for the use case of the particular organization, keeping in mind the goal, the mission and the vision of this organization. And that is how from a ready COTS, it becomes a unique solution for that organization and to a certain extent less hackable as compared to the ready solution that the end users generally give. Now, in my slides, I will be talking about the GRC basically. So, governance, risk and compliance. So, the basic essence for the governance part is, So, before I start, one very important thing, we all are talking about cybersecurity, cloud security and all these stuffs. But actually, the things need to be dealt differently in an organization. And I would like to take a cue from MKP sir, who has started this session by saying that CISO has got its roles crystal clear and cut out. In the sense that for operational technology, unlike an information technology, confidentiality or integrity doesn't play such important role as the availability factor is. So the moment I go from information technology environment to a production environment or to an let's say be it in energy, be it power or any other production environment, availability is of utmost importance. And to ensure availability doesn't hold the job there. Add on to that, you have to also ensure the health, safety and the environment. So, I am today presenting in a place where I think you all know what the Bhopal gas tragedy happened. So, any kind of a production environment, the health, safety and environment can be tweaked by tweaking the security vulnerabilities of that production process. So, in a nutshell, it's all about the availability of the production along with the safety and the environment. Now, the moment we talk about the availability, the safety and the environment into it, we bring across a hidden dimension of time, latency. So, I know that, let's say if my bank website is down for 2 days, it doesn't matter so much to me. But what if my production is down for even 1 second? Crores and crores of rupees are not only gone down the drain, lot of major critical infrastructure, revenue, resources are at stake. And generally most of the production environment will work in milliseconds or microseconds. So that's a very important aspect to it. So when we start for an organization's map, basically I think sir was also talking about business continuity plan. So we need to understand what are our critical business processes. Once we understand the critical business process, in a large organization, every process cannot be a critical process. So the most important part of it is understanding which process is a critical process. The moment we do it, the work gets toned down to a certain scalable limit. Once that is done, in these important business processes, let us identify the crucial business processes and let us demarcate them as the critical information infrastructures. And inside those critical information infrastructures, let us identify our core crown jewels without which I cannot move. Let's say I am from NTPC, so I deal in power generation. So for me, what can be the utmost crown jewel? I know my generator is being cooled by hydrogen, and it is no less than a hydrogen bomb. So depending on all these aspects, be it financial, be it health, safety, be it the reputation or the brand value of the organization, we define the crown jewels. Once done, now we have to understand how quickly we can come back to business once we are affected. This is a very important part. I will come back to this one when I talk about backups and patches and recoveries. Obviously, we need to, once we are done with the business continuity, we have seen what Corona has done, how the business continuity was put to task during the Corona days. We also need to prepare separately for an incident response once an incident happens, because we all are huge organizations on which each and every minute attacks are happening, and we are here to defend those attacks. And as it has been rightly said, that those attacks are gone are the days of script kiddies. Those are sophisticated attacks, and some of them might be state or sponsored attacks. So in that case, recovering from the disaster is also very important, and having a cyber crisis management plan. Another important factor we should not forget in this one is a very important factor. We do due diligence and due care. Think about doing things, doing the right way, and then doing right things at the right time. But we forget, as I think Colonel Dr. Indrajit sir was talking about an analogy of a fort. We might close the fort, we might do defense in depth, but ultimately the food or any other resource needs to come inside the fort. That is supply chain. So people, instead of targeting the fort, now target the resources. You cannot have infinite amount of water reserve within your fort. You cannot have infinite amount of reserves within your this thing. As a power generation company, we need to import coal. We need to get those coal into our system. We need lot of other things into our system. So although it might look like a fort with only a north and south traffic, but actually there will be lot of inputs into those forts which are the most vulnerable part, and there will also be a east and west traffic. We forget about the east and west traffic, and that is where we have to devise certain security aspects like trusted vendor portal. I think MAKP sir has already touched upon that thing. We have to have a very rigorous control on our tendering concepts. If the tendering concepts doesn't talk about third-party governance, leave aside the service provider or the system integrator, OEM will not cater to our need as an asset owner. It's a very, very important factor which needs to be nipped in the bud right at the tender stage. And it has to have some very critical KPIs with penalizable clauses. And that is how we get all these third-party vendors into contract. Again, if we follow certain kinds of standards in a manner, as again sir was telling that we have to have testing capacity within India, let us follow a policy of security by design, using components which are already declared secured by the design during the shop process by a certain OEM. Let us use those components within our system designs, within our solutions. And obviously, we need to talk about the software bill of material. It's an upcoming thing, but it needs to be done because there are a lot of softwares which are actually procured by the third party vendors or the fourth party vendor unknowingly, and which have some patent vulnerabilities already inbuilt into them. After that, once the solution has been done, it has been designed, it has been implemented, and after implemented, it needs to be tested. So if it is needs to be tested at the factory, we go for factory acceptance test, CFAT, cybersecurity factory acceptance test, and if needs to be done at site, we go for cybersecurity site acceptance test. Now the risk management. See, I think the basic crux of the thing is what is the risk appetite of the organization. If I am dealing with my own risk appetite is pretty high, and I am dealing with a third party vendor whose risk appetite is even higher, you think of the situation we are going. We are going for a higher and higher risk appetite. We are ready to take risk, but that should not be the ideal scenario. We need to judge what are the threats at hand. Lot of people, I think all the esteemed luminary speakers today talk about the different threats, the threat intelligence, collaborative environments, understand the threats, the vulnerabilities, and the consequence on the identified crown jewels, critical information infrastructures, and the business processes. Once this is done, actually at that point of time, we will be able to understand, let's say, take a call, should I protect my generator, which has hydrogen? The answer lies there. So if I have a good calculation of this thing, I will be clearly able to understand, okay, these are the things which I need to protect. And for that, I say in different forums that if I don't have an idea of what are the things inside my house, one day some things are stolen, I will not be able to understand that there is a theft in my house. So I have to have a very basic and very strong idea what my assets are within that important business process. Once I am very sure that what these assets are, my risk assessment is done, and I have gone for a risk mitigation plan, definitely the system in itself is securing. We are going towards a much more secure system. But doing that, it's not at the cost of the business. That is why that graph is. So we have to understand that balance point where we can have a techno-economical solution where we are not compromising on the security, but we are not just like that forgetting the cost. And that balance point, that fulcrum point is very important to understand. And that is where I started my session saying that we need to understand how we can convert a COTS, commercial off the shelf solution, into a unique business solution for a certain organization. Every organization will have its different goal, different mission, and different objectives. To meet that, this will give you the answer where we can fix upon and how to go about with it. I think I will skip this slide. Why so? Because, okay. So basically, for compliance part, so I have talked about governance, I have talked about risk, now the compliance part. In the compliance, obviously we have to follow the regulatory compliance. And by that, what I mean, suppose as an organization, I have a requirement of doing an audit once in a year. But my regulator says that you need to do audit twice a year. So that is where I need to understand that my policy is being superseded by the regulatory compliances. And I listed some few regulatory compliances which needs to be followed rigorously, at least for MOP, Ministry of Power, the cybersecurity guidelines and the upcoming regulation, law of the land, CERT-in and NCIPC directives that come different times. We need to follow them rigorously. Make in India orders, all the Make in India orders need to be followed and implemented into tenders, implemented into commissionings also. And one of the very important thing, and I always vouch for 62443, I like to put forward in this platform today that this is a very important standard 62443 if we are talking about production environment. It is a mother of all standards, and if we are able to follow it even 50%, you be rest assured that you have a huge evolution as an organization as far as security is concerned. Your maturity will increase by default, even if you are able to follow 50% of this standard. Obviously, the testings and the procurements, and having a capable CISO who understands the business processes and the needs. Obviously, for the organization compliance part, we need to have a live policy document followed by its procedural documents, adopt certain baselines for the industry standards, the best people in the industry, how the other countries, similar industry are doing, what are the practices they are following, identifying my fort ESP, electronic security perimeter of my fort. What are the main access points, what are the remote access points, and what are the interfaces through which I am interacting with my business enterprise. And obviously, willful thought about data protection, what are the applications I am using, whether I should migrate to cloud, what are the low-hanging fruits, less critical business processes which I should put to the cloud first, rather than going for the critical business processes to the cloud directly, and mass-scale implementation of cloud infrastructure, a bit-by-bit implementation of cloud infrastructure. Another important thing is that we still find that we are, lot of us, there is no harm and no shame in saying that we are still running Windows XP in our production environment. It is a very important factor, and this should be at least put through to the senior management that we have to let go of this environment and adapt the latest state-of-the-art solutions. Otherwise, we are sitting duck to this very advanced state of attacks. Obviously, like I said in the initial slide about the business impact analysis, we all study, prepare ourselves for incidents, disaster recovery, but we never practice it. Let us actually take hold of some of the backups and try to do it in a pseudo environment, in a simulation lab, how quickly we are able to restore our backup and come back to business. That practice will actually bring down the business impact time. The time of non-availability will come down if we practice this one. We should rigorously patch our systems and do it in an improvised manner so that it is not cumbersome, yet it can be doable. Let's say if I call about a standard, NARC SIP 7 talks that at least we should patch once in a month. It's not about 15 days or each and every day, and not while patching, not connect to the internet. This is very important thing. Never connect to the internet while patching. It should be over a devised media, be it a storage media or whatever it is, be it a tape media, whatever. But it should be a via media. First you download from the internet in a separate standalone islanded equipment, take it off, take it physically to the environment, and then patch the system. It keeps off your system safe. And this is the last slide, that is the people, process and technology. In a large organization, making the people aware is of utmost important. Upskilling the people, training them rigorously, investing on the training environment, it's of enormous environment. And last, to complete it, the approach should be always be calm, cool and collected while taking an out-of-the-box approach. Never go for a stereotype solution. Vendor is coming, saying something, accept it blindly. No. Make a certain twist into the solution and let vendor also think into it. It will be a unique solution, unique case study for your organization. Thank you.
Thank you, Somnath Kundu, alternate CISO and Deputy General Manager, NTPC Limited. And I would like to thank all the esteemed speakers for this insightful session on tackling cyber threat for governance, mitigation, preparedness, and exposure management. I thank Mr. K.L. Meena, Project Director, MPSCDC, Mr. M.A.K.P. Singh, Member Hydro and CISO Ministry of Power Government of India, Litan Nandi, Executive Director and CIO, Indian Oil Corporation Limited, Dr. Sushil Meher, CIO, AIMS, New Delhi, and Mr. Somnath Kundu, alternate CISO and Deputy General Manager, NTPC Limited. With this, I would like to invite Mr. Amit Sharma, ADG and Advisor, Cyber Minister of Defence, Government of India. If you can come on stage and kindly hand over a small token of appreciation to our speakers, please. Can you have a huge round of applause for our esteemed speakers, please? sessions.